Hey guys, welcome to the latest video of MuleSoft Online Learning. In this particular video, we will be discussing about the for each scope, how we can use the basic uh, construct of for each within a Mule application. So let's first check out the official documentation. So for each in Mule 4. So basically for each scope splits a payload into elements and process them one by one through the components that we place in the scope. It is quite similar to the for each or for loop code within the most programming languages like in Java and C, and it can process any collection including the list and arrays. So it can support application JSON, Java or application XML formats. By default, the for each tries to split the payload. If the payload is simple Java collection, then for each scope can split it without any configuration. But for non-Java collections, we need to use the data weave expression. So basically, there is a collection field which can be used to specify the element which is containing the payload in it, so that it can be iterated over an array which is stored in a particular field. For example, within the payload, we have a particular field topics in which there is an array of messages. So we can make use of this collection field. Apart from that, for each doesn't impact the current payload. The output payload from the for each will remain same as the initial payload. It doesn't changes any, the payload changes, it doesn't do anything. And it talks about this batch size as well. We will be covering this particular thing in our execution. So it says if we can increase the batch size, then it will enable the quicker processing. So each batch is taken as a separate mule message. Example, if we have like around 20 elements, let's say, and if we set a batch size of 5, then it will create 4 batches, so that 4 multiplied by 5 batch size equal to 20 elements. We will showcase this particular example as well. The main thing about for each is like it executes sequentially, and whenever any error occurs, it come out of the execution, and the error is being raised. It doesn't go ahead with the next set of for each, and for each doesn't modify the payload as we already discussed. So these are the main thing. And so let's quickly jump to the one of the sample Mule app. So I will open the Anypoint Studio now. I am using Anypoint Studio 7.5, going with my default workspace. Let it load. I will create a sample project by right clicking new Mule project. I will name it as for each and click on finish. I am using runtime as 4.3.0. So within a couple of seconds it should be okay. So I will be referring one of the file which I have downloaded from the internet, and this is the file which I am going to use. So if you see this particular file, it is a CSV file having the headers like policy ID, state code, county and all other things, having the unique value of policy ID. So we will play around this particular CSV file which is having around 20 rows in it. Okay, so we will start with file palette. So I will drag and drop file to our palette area, and after that I will drag and drop this on new or updated file, so that this flow will be triggered as soon as it look for a new file, and it is available in the setting. So I will click on the connector configuration and I will click on the connection, and within the working directory I will give the path. I will give the path of 1 second. I will go to the location where I am creating this project. Within the src main I will put the resources as the path. I will go for a test connection. So connection is successful, we are good to go. After that, the path I will put as input. So basically I will be looking for a folder over here named as input. So let's create the same folder, and after that I will go with all the default settings. It will pull for every 1000 milliseconds, that is after each and every 1 second of duration it will check for it, and I will move it to the directory named as output, and I will rename it as processed, no, not the processed, output.csv, and I will save this file. And let's add this thing to favorites, the write file activity. Add to favorites. Now I will go to my favorites and I will put a logger in front of it. I will just print whatever is the content of this particular file. So let's run it first. So you can see the 4.3.0 Mule runtime is now loading. I will copy paste this particular file and I will copy paste in the input folder. In the meanwhile, you can see this application is now deployed. It is successful. I will paste it over here. So as the logger is being used, so it is printing all the records which is present in this particular file. The very first line is the header file, the header row, and after that all the content are coming up. So if we refresh the main resources location, you will come to know there is a output file being created with output.csv as the name. So we will be using this file again and again, putting into the input for the processing of this particular flow. So now what we will do, since this policy ID is getting changed every time, so let's put this policy ID in under a variable. So I will call this variable as policy ID, and it will the path containing payload.policy ID, and I will convert this into JSON format as well, just for the readability purpose, and marking it as a Java object. So I will put payload, so this should be okay. After that set variable, I want to create a particular file, okay, and I will use the same configuration. With the path I will give processed slash plus plus where's dot policy ID plus plus start dot csv. Okay, so this will be the file every time it goes through this particular path, and the payload will be used. And I'll just put a logger as well, which should mark that file is processed which I'm going to print as where's dot policy id. So I will save this particular line, but this is this will cater only single record, so I want to repeat it. So basically I will be using a for each, so I will wrap it in a for each loop. Okay, and let's put a logger in the very end of it, which will mark like let's print the payload itself. Okay, so this looks quite okay for now. I will stop the running instance, clean the console. I will run it once again. It will take couple of seconds to load. So it is initializing the app. Now it's being deployed. I will drag and drop this output CSV to input folder. So let's see what all is printed. Let me go to this particular location. So it first printed all the content as a payload, the first logger. After that it is setting the policy ID and printing that the file is processed for this policy ID and all till 353022. Just keep an eye on this policy ID number for now. And after that in the end it is printing all the policy ID with the last one as 353022. So if we check the processed folder which is being created because of this, okay, it is created over here, but it is not printing what we were expecting, so there needs to be changed something over here. Okay, let me do something. I will clear this off. Control S. It is already running, so let clear this off and drag and drop this output CSV to input folder once again, and let's see what it prints. Refresh. So now this process folder is created and you can see how many files are there. So around 20 items are being created. So let's open one of the file content. So have you noticed this is the content, like JSON file is being printed with individual element as the row element, but we want something like policy ID should be in the column name and the item should be coming under it as a column data. So it seems we need to make some changes. I will quickly delete this folder. I will stop this execution. So just before writing the file, I will drag and drop this transform message and I will print something like CSV and we'll pass the same payload. Control S and let's run it once again. Save. It is loading all the Mule runtime, setting our application in the deployed state. It is deployed. I will drag and drop it to the input folder. It will start processing. I will refresh the resources folder. Process folder is created. Let's quickly check one of the file. So here you can see policy id is coming under the policy data is coming under the policy id column. So all the things are now set, what we looking for, and 20 files are being created. So let's make some more changes. As you can see, 20 files because there are 20 policy IDs. Okay, what if I want to club it in less number of files, or instead of going sequential processing one record at a time, I want to process more than one record. So for that, there is a concept of batch size. I will set this batch size as 5. I will save it and set variable. Let's print this guy. So basically, okay, this is already there, so no need to print it over here. And okay, let's print the one more um, uh, variable is there, like counter. So let's print the value of counter colon plus plus where's dot counter into less. So this is the transformation. We will keep it as same, but over here we will change this thing. Instead of policy id, let's print the counter. There is a reason why we are changing this policy id, because policy id will now be changing in a lot of 5 records. So we are not sure which policy id number out of those 5 records will be picked up. So better to replace all those with a counter file, that is a fixed number of count on which this for each loop will be running. Rest of the things we will not change much. Here as well I would like to change with counter, and after that we are printing the payload. That's it. Let's quickly delete this process folder. So before running this application, let's set the expectation. As of now we have a CSV file with around 20 records, which batch size is being set to 5. So 20 divided by 5, we are expecting 4 files. Each file will be containing 5 records in it. So let's run it now. So you can see, let's check the file structure. I will go and refresh it. So in the process file you can see 1 2 3 4, that 4 files are being created. So you can see 5 records are being there. Similarly, all these files are having 5 records. I will quickly open all these. Just make a note of this. The last one is 353022. So why I'm asking to have a look on it, because we are printing the something in console. So over here, this is the content of CSV file. After that, let me word wrap it. After that, counter wise, counter 1 file processed 1, because here is the counter 1 we have set. Similarly, the counter will run for 4 times, and after that we are printing the entire payload. Okay, in one shot we are printing all the payload, all the 20 uh, object array, the JSON objects are being added as a within an array. So this is what we are able to see, like depending upon the batch size we can achieve faster processing, like some sort of parallel processing as well, which will be faster than the traditional for each. Many of the times it is being compared with batch processing. So guys, Batch processing is being used where huge set of payload is there and we want parallel processing almost in real time, whereas for is being used for a lesser number of records and it shows more performance as compared to batch, where batch is being used within enterprise edition of Mule runtime. So these are some major, I must say, the benefits, or you can say pros and cons. And one more thing, if for each gets error out at any stage, it will throw an exception to the default error handler and it will interrupt the entire flow execution. We will be discussing more about the exception handling in the later upcoming videos. So I hope you like this video. Gives a thumbs up to the YouTube video, and I will be coming soon with more interesting topics. Stay tuned. Thank you.